The breathing styles from Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba are not only visually stunning, but are iconic within the world of manga. Today we're going to be taking a closer look into not only the breaths, but their Demon Slayer marks as well. Sun breathing. Sun breathing is the first breathing style, the grandfather and predecessor to all other breath styles. This is because Yoriichi Tsujikuni, an ancient slayer from the Sengoku period, would modify the breathing style to match the user's own individual talent and strengths. Besides Yoriichi and the Kamado family, no one else could learn sun breathing, which is pretty interesting. Not only that, but the Kamado clan even turned it into a dance despite how many forms it has. Users of sun breathing can also develop a Demon Slayer mark on their face that resembles flames, which happens to also be identical to the moon breathing mark, which is another fun parallel between Yoriichi and his brother. Fun fact, Shinobu states that you mustn't call it fire breathing when it is flame breathing. This is because both sun breathing and fire breathing are pronounced the same due to their kanji. This breathing style has 13 forms. The final is unnamed and was invented solely to defeat Muzan. The final form is achieved by connecting together all 12 forms, which is a feat in and of itself considering sun breathing has the second most forms just behind moon breathing. Despite being converted into a dance, the 12 other forms are passed down accurately within the Kamado family. But before we go any further, this video is sponsored by Sakurako and Tokyo Treat, the best Japanese snack subscriptions available. With a subscription to Tokyo Treat, you'll get access to up to 20 of the latest and greatest limited edition seasonal Japanese snacks available. Meanwhile, with Sakurako, you can enjoy 20 traditional and authentic artisan Japanese snacks, including teas and one special Japanese tableware item each month. Sakurako partners with local Japanese snack makers to continue sharing Japanese culture and traditions that have been passed down for centuries. The theme of this month's Tokyo Treat box is Summer Matsuri, and boy was it hot. My friends and I immediately rushed for the cookies and cream Kit Kats, but I definitely need more of that premium lemon flavored Fanta. The theme of this month's Sakurako box is Tea Time in Yokohama. The peanut macarons were my favorite, but it wasn't an easy decision with how many things I enjoyed from this one. Included in each box is a really handy booklet that details each and every snack perfectly. You'll know the names, ingredients, associated allergens, and even a bit about Japanese culture. It's honestly really fun flipping through as you try things out. You can use our code PLOTARMOR to save $5 off your first Sakurako or Tokyo Treat box, and order by June 30th for the same boxes that we received. Thanks again to Sakurako and Tokyo Treat for the delicious snacks, but now back to the topic at hand. In order to hide sun breathing from Muzan, who began to kill sun breathers, sun breathing became known as the Hinokami Kagura dance within the Kamado family. As Tanjiro's father Tanjiro explains, the dance is a special way of breathing that lets you never get tired. The dance itself is so efficient that Tanjiro is able to perform it despite his sickly nature. The Hinokami Kagura is performed at the start of the year as a ritual of good luck, ironic due to Muzan eradicating sun breathers so badly that a black sword becomes an omen for death and bad luck. As previously stated, all other forms originated from sun breathing, including moon breathing, which has just one known user, the demon Kokushibo. Moon breathing. Moon breathing is perhaps the most complex out of any other style, but to be fair, Kokushibo's long lifespan meant he created and perfected many different forms. The style, like all others, is derived from sun breathing. There's a neat parallel to be had between sun and moon breathing. Just as Yoriichi and Kokushibo are opposites, so are their name styles. Kokushibo is unable to master his brother's sun breathing, so he instead invented his own style, moon breathing. Speaking of his brother, the mark for moon breathing also manifests a flame-like pattern on the face. Because he became a demon, Kokushibo could not teach the breath to anyone else. I mean, this man really decided to gatekeep moon breathing. The forms of moon breathing are enhanced by his long demonic sword and blood demon art. This deadly combination creates crescent moon-shaped blades that accompany his sword strikes, making it one of the most lethal breathing styles. Its destructiveness is even noticed by the Untitled, who remarks, "I couldn't survive if my senses hadn't been honed." Kokushibo's katana is unique from other blades. It is made from his flesh. And because he is Upper Moon 1, the sword itself is much more durable than a typical katana. Not to mention it can become far longer, almost like a scythe. From the second fan book, we know the sword's name was Kyokyoku Kamusari, which loosely translates to Hollow Cry of the Godless. The name is somewhat significant considering Kokushibo first abandoned his family and then his humanity. But back to moon breathing, there are 16 known forms. Due to Kokushibo's long lifespan, it is very likely there are more than 16. In that same vein, it is also worth mentioning moon breathing had less forms before Kokushibo became a demon. That being said, there is a breathing style that is easier to learn and far less complex than moon breathing. Water breathing. Water breathing is the most common style because it is easy to learn, leading to a Water Ashira in every era. Some of the famous users include Water Ashira Gyuto Miyoka, former Water Ashira turned cultivator Sokonjiro Kadaki, and Tanjiro Kamado. In the second fan book, demons describe the style itself as gentle and painful but bearable. Users see themselves either creating or using torrents of water with this style. Along with other named techniques, water breathing takes after the fluidity and flexibility of water. In fact, its third form is even known as flowering dance. The form itself is a perfect representation of the style. It is flowy and malleable. Also in the same vein, this style was born from sun breathing. Yet there are breathing techniques that are derived from water breathing. The style itself has a Demon Slayer mark that appears on the face as waves. To me, it looks similar to the Mist Breathing Slayer mark. 10 forms make up the water breathing style. However, there is an 11th form created by Gyu Tomioka. The form is known as Dead Calm. The explanation for the name is best derived from the manga. A dead calm is a sea with no wind and no waves. The water's surface becomes like a mirror. It is perhaps the most powerful form, considering the user enters a state of complete serenity and is able to cut down a demon with such speed that it looks as if their blade didn't even move. Gyu also happens to be the only person capable of performing Dead Calm. Besides water breathing, flame breathing is the only other style to produce a Hashira for every time period. Flower breathing. This breath is known for its delicate, graceful movement and is associated with flowers as well as fruit. Plus, the forms themselves reflect this, like 6th form Whirling Peach and 5th form Peonies of Futility. Flowers themselves are envisioned by the swordsmen who use this technique. Flower breathing is a derivative of water breathing and the breath of a former Hashira. The late flower Hashira Kanae Kocho and her sister Kanao Tsuyuri are the only well-known swordsmen for this breathing style. Besides being a style reminiscent of ballet, flower breathing offers a special advantage. Out of the 7 forms, the last one provides perfect eyesight. Final form, Equinoctial Vermilion Eye, allows the swordsmen to go beyond their physical limitations. The blood vessels within their eyes completely open up, which raise their vision to superhuman. A flower breather can see the world as if it was in slow motion via this form. Unfortunately, there is a drawback. In the words of Kanao's other sister, if you use that technique, Kanao, you may go blind. Blood vessels within the eyes are so tiny and thin, it wouldn't be hard for a flower breath user to overexert themselves and become practically, if not fully, blind. Flower breathing itself is also mentioned in a less negative light by demons slain by it. One demon says, it was soft, also smelled good. It's not seen as harsh or spoken of with hatred. Instead, the style is practically gushed about by fallen demons. Serpent breathing. The same cannot be said for serpent breathing. A demon even remarks, I wish I got killed by flower breathing, while another makes note of how much the breath hurts. It is a style that came from water breathing and there is only one known user, Serpent Hashira Obanai Iguro. As the name implies, the breath mimics the slithering movements of a snake. Even Obanai's sword does. This replication of a snake is best seen in the 5th form Slithering Serpent, in which Obanai zigzags like a snake and can behead multiple demons. It is a style that relies on twisting attacks that maim their target. Like other breaths, a swordsman of serpent breathing sees gigantic white snakes while implementing this style. Considering only Obanai is a practitioner, it is very likely that this is a breath he invented. After all, other Hashira invented breathing techniques as well, such as insect and love breathing. There are only 5 forms, all with very snake-centric names. It is an iconography that fits Obanai's solitary nature as well. Plus, the mark for serpent breathing is a pattern not unlike a snake's body. So, a lot of reptile imagery for Obanai and this breath. Besides the 5th form, the 2nd form is also a direct attack meant for decapitation. The other 3 are multi-slash attacks. Interestingly enough, there are several other breaths that implement a weapon different from a standard katana. Insect breathing. Insect breath is the brainchild of Insect Hashira Shinobu Kocho and is unconventional from other breaths. Instead of a standard issue sword, Shinobu employs the use of a modified sword with a stinger at the end. It's one of the less complex styles with only 4 named forms. Shinobu invented the breath because she is physically incapable of beheading a demon. Ergo, she must stab them with different wisteria poisons that are generated in her sword sheath. The movements themselves are precise and quick. As upper rank 2 Doma said, there is a distinctive click for each new poison Shinobu uses. When using the form, Shinobu envisions butterflies. Not to mention the forms themselves are named after bugs. However, the breaths are still rather deadly. One demon details dying by it as a level of pain I have never experienced before. Plus, one of the forms, Dance to the Centipede 100-legged zigzag, is powerful enough to break multiple spots on a wooden bridge. Flame breathing. Flame breathing was one of the 5 original styles to be born from sun breathing. There is only one other breathing technique that is derived from flame breathing, love breathing. Notable swordsmen of this breath of the Rengoku family and the love Hashira, Mitsuri Kanroji. Later on, Mitsuri would actually modify the flame breath to suit her extraordinary body composition. Demons describe being slain by the style as cool, but Upper Moon 3, Akaza, simply states, I felt renewed. No, I felt like I saw the clear blue summer sky. His testimony paints a picture of flame breathing being something relaxing, calm like an afternoon sun. Flame breathing has exactly 9 forms, but only 6 are named. Out of the 6 we know of, only 1 is exclusive to the movie. 3rd form, Blazing Universe. Like other breaths, the user focuses enough to envision their sword attacks as manipulating fire. Not only that, but for flame breathing, the swordsmen strike from a higher stance. The final form is named after the Rengoku family and is something Flame Mashira Kyojuro Rengoku refers to as an esoteric art. Now, what does esoteric mean? Well, according to Google, the definition for esoteric is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. Therefore, referring to the ninth form in this way implies that it is passed down within the Rengoku household. In fact, Kyojuro learned flame breathing from past writings of a Flame Mashira, which was considered like a family guide and written historical account. Love breathing, which as stated before is the only one to have been derived from flame breathing. As with insect and serpent breathing, love breathing can only be performed with a particular weapon, a whip-like sword. This breath utilizes flexibility, agility, and speed. It's similar to flower or wind breathing due to its gymnastic-esque movements. Love breathing also happens to be the unique creation of its only user, Love Ashira Mitsuri Kanroji. Plus, it can only be used by Mitsuri due to her unique body composition. There are 6 forms, which follow the theme of love and Mitsuri's soft spot for cats. For example, the first form, Shivers of First Love, and 6th form, Cat-Legged Winds of Love. The forms typically use multiple sword slashes. Despite that, demons oddly speak highly of the breath. It was rather bittersweet, as one demon says in the second fan book. Love breathing also has a Demon Slayer mark which appeared on Mitsuri as a double heart pattern resembling a 4-leaf clover. Thunder breathing. Being an element and originating from the first 5 breaths is none other than thunder breathing. Again, it was created from sun breathing. Similar to flame, there is only one other style derived from it, sound breathing. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves though. Like its name suggests, thunder breathing mimics the speed and velocity of thunder. The forms themselves are meant to strike quickly enough for the demon to not even notice. According to Zenitsu Agatsuma, in thunder breathing, you focus on your legs, which makes sense. Speed is the biggest defining factor for thunder breathing. This style of breathing has a shorter list of forms, coming in at only 6. Despite this, Zenitsu improves upon the first form, Thunder Clap and Flash, to create 3 distinct variations: 6-fold, 8-fold, and Godspeed. While on the topic of the first form, it is important to note that the first form, at least in thunder breathing, is the basis for all other forms within the breath. By himself, Zenitsu creates a 7th form, Honoi Kazuchi no Kami, or Flaming Thunder God. Also, the user sees themselves generating lightning or electricity when using this breath. There is another similarity to actual thunder though. The sword slashes from a thunder breath user are powerful enough that they emit sounds similar to lightning itself. Besides that, there is a real-world parallel. The Japanese quick draw technique Iaijutsu is most likely the inspiration for thunder breathing and its forms, especially the first form. That being said, there are 2 other styles that predated all other newer styles like love breathing. Stone breathing. Stone breathing is like its namesake, reminiscent of earth and rock. As with water, thunder, and flame, it is one of the original breaths. It is a style best seen in the penultimate fight between Stone Ashira, Gyomei Himejima, and Kokoshibo. Gyomei also happens to be the only notable swordsman of this style, which can also be said for wind breathing. A user of this style utilizes a ranged weapon on a chain. In Gyomei's case, his weapon is a spiked flail and axe. However, there is evidence that a previous user may have used a kusarigama, which is basically a scythe attached to a chain and ball. Why mention this? Because all stone breathing forms require the user to stand as unmoving and impenetrable as rock itself, instead using the range of their chained weapon. While on the subject of the unique weapon stone breathing uses, a demon in the second fan book remarks, "I've never seen a weapon like that before." Stone breathing can be used offensively or defensively and has 6 named forms. A good example of the defensive capabilities is the third form, Stone Skin, which allows the user to deflect incoming attacks. Meanwhile, the second form, Upper Smash, represents not only offense, but the fact that stone breathers don't move as much as other swordsmen. Interestingly enough, stone breathing can keep up with moon breathing. Unlike other breaths, stone breathing does not seem to elicit a particular vision from the user. It's not like Gyomei is seeing rocks when he uses stone breathing. However, the Slayer mark makes up for this. The importance of the mark is illustrated just before Gyomei unlocks it. He exclaims, "I wanted to save this for Muzan, but if I lose now, I'll have gained nothing. I have to use it now." A stone breather's mark manifests like fissures in a rock along the user's forearms. Sound breathing. From thunder breathing comes the iconic sound breathing. This remarkable breath is used by none other than the Sound Ashira Tengen UZUI. This style is known for loud noises that are disorienting. Similar to several other unorthodox techniques, sound breathing uses the use of explosions and speed. Tengen developed the breath using his superhuman hearing and created a technique that complements sound breathing. Musical score allows Tengen to convert the heat of battle into a song with a rhythm. It's interesting that he uses musical score to find weak spots and openings, all while deploying anti-demon bombs, some of which are so deafening that they replicate the sound of thunder. In the same vein as insect breathing, there are a few known forms, exactly 5, yet only 3 are named. Like his breath suggests, each form is a reference to sound or music. The fifth form is known as string performance. That being said, sound breathing itself is a formidable technique despite its thunderous, chaotic nature. In fact, Upper Moon 5 Gyutaro refers to Tengen movements as very detailed. Wind breathing. Finally, we have reached wind breathing, which is the last style to be derived from sun breathing. There is only one remarkable user of this breath, none other than Wind Hashira Senemi Shinazugawa. This breath is unique for its offensively acrobatic attacks that are typically from a high stance or like the ninth form, which is literally an attack from above. In fact, several demons make the same comment, that wind breathing is powerful and considered overkill due to the rapid multiple sword strikes. That being said, there are a total of 9 known forms. Perhaps the most unique thing about wind breathing is the fact that swordsmen can utilize the actual wind around them to deliver attacks. This is best illustrated in the second form, Claw's Purifying Wind. A literal gust of wind almost penetrates Kokushibo's sword. Not only that, but Kokushibo had to use his own breath to deflect the wind. It's interesting that swordsmen of this style not only utilize gusts of wind, but seem to actually be capable of generating a flurry of wind. A Slayer mark for wind breathing, at least in Senemi's case, is on the face and in the shape of a windmill, which is very fitting. Like stone breathing, it is a breath that proves to be an issue for an upper moon demon, such as Kokushibo. The demon even went as far as to remark, still, he keeps up with my techniques, and even compares Senemi's wind breathing to Hashira from ages ago. This suggests that wind breathing as a whole has not changed for quite some time. Speaking of time, there next comes a breathing style that isn't as well known as one of the original breaths, mist breathing. There are 2 breaths that originate from wind breathing. Let's firstly focus on the more aloof style that is mist breathing. Users see themselves manipulating clouds of mist, which works into the breath considering its main purpose is to camouflage movement. There is only one well-known practitioner, and that is Miss Hashira, MUICHIRO Tokito. The disorientation of mist breathing is only helped by MUICHIRO's baggy clothing. It's plausible the breath would be less effective with a more traditional Demon Slayer core uniform. That being said, there are 6 forms with a 7th that was created by MUICHIRO. 7th form, Obscuring Clouds, allows the Hashira to hide his movements in an almost haze of battle, disappearing as quickly as he appeared. Unfortunately, the demons slain by mist breathing do not have much to say on the style, but have plenty of criticism regarding MUICHIRO. Funny that in spite of being killed by a breath, their grievances revolve around the Slayer. Finally, the breath also produces a Slayer mark. For MUICHIRO, this manifests as a cloud-shaped pattern on its face. To be quite honest, the shape itself reminds me of the mark of a sun breather. Beast breathing. Beast breathing is a relative of wind breathing. Truthfully, it checks out considering Inosuke Hashibira learned his breath from up in the mountains where wind can be heavy. Inosuke also happens to be the only beast breather, but that is because he invented it. Inosuke's technique is wild, unpredictable, and haphazard, just like the name implies. There are several unique traits for beast breathing. The biggest is that forms are known as fangs, except the 7th form, which is inoffensive. It's a support move Inosuke uses to detect a demon's location. In total, beast breathing has 10 forms, or fangs I suppose. Finally, the fangs themselves typically use multiple sword swings, such as 5th fang, Crazy Cutting. Inosuke's style is rather unorthodox, yet helped him pass final selection and slay many demons. Really, there are many different breaths within the Kimetsu no Yaiba world. Some require the use of specialized weapons, while others are niche due to their movements. With all that being said, they are still one of the most captivating battle techniques within manga. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.